And welcome back to the Football Fanatic podcast. We're here on week two of the season two, and Dan has returned. Dan, it's good to see you, and you have brought your brother along. Alex, the winner of the inaugural Fantasy Football League last season. First of all, congratulations. Second
Thanks,
of
Ed.
all, Dan, thank you very much for bringing him along. It'll be a once only stop. No, I'm only joking.
I'm gonna make a count, Egg.
That's right. Good stuff. If you're good enough, you'll be back. That's why we brought back Moss. He completely kind of enthralled us with all his knowledge on football. And here he is. He's taken Howard's place, and hopefully we'll never see that lad again. What do you call it? Dan, how's it feel? Liverpool being back, Arnie Slot in the hot seat.
Yeah, it's great. I was very excited now on Friday with the season coming back and was looking forward to seeing ourselves in action. I know we get into all that, but it was great to have it back. And I was quite excited actually, given our pre-season and the little speed bump in the road being Zubimendi, who I know you talked about last week on the pod. So
Yeah.
that was a bit of a disappointing start, but yeah, there's no doubt that Slot and Liverpool are cooking.
Do you think so? Yeah. So far, so good. Based on your
No,
first
they had a
half
good preseason. They had a good
performance.
preseason, and yeah, I know we'll talk about it. But I thought they had a good preseason under their belt, and
Yeah.
I liked what I've seen so far. But like it's extremely early days, like
Of course. Of
to be
course.
and the expectations are low. So
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
what do you call it? Well, are they low? We'll get into that. We'll get into that. We will start with United and Fulham, seeing as that was the game to kick off the season. I know you weren't too impressed, Dan. Moss, likewise, you kind of gave it was a 6.5, 7 out of 10 performance.
I think it said a 6.5. They were grand. They were fine. They were
Yeah.
somewhat better. Uh, I actually thought Bruno, Mason, Mount kind of worked somewhat in terms of being the press actually started in front,
Yeah.
and we didn't really give away those very open chances until Mount had gone off, and then we got lucky twice or three times on the break. And come to the end of the second half. Delighted at Xerxes getting on, getting a goal, getting that
Good goal
off
too.
his back straight away. I have a little bit of fear because it reminds me exactly of what Donny van der Beek did. He came on off the bench in his first game at Stratford End and he scored. And I thought, Jesus, he's here. And then that was basically the last thing Donny van der Beek did for United. So I was not getting too carried away with it. But we weren't as open, a bit more solid. Mazraoui looked pretty good. I don't actually know. I was thinking about it after. Was Mazraoui just someone who could bring the ball forward comfortably? And that's why I thought he was so good, because I'm used to watching Wan-Bissaka like get as far as halfway, freeze and turn around and pass it
Yeah.
backwards. But yeah, look, it was fine. It's a decent start. It wouldn't be sending shockwaves out for the River League or anything, but
Yeah.
I don't
It was
think
important. It
we
was
are in a
important
position
though.
to be doing that. So I think it's a solid position to start, to be honest.
I think it was an important victory because given the way the last season ended, apart from the FA Cup win, I think he needed a kind of it was an important just to get people off Ten Hag's back for now.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
Like if we
anybody
lost that
we
first game,
yeah,
straight away everyone's in on Ten Hag, and you can
the
just see the
soap
pressure
opera
on him.
the soap
Yeah,
opera will just
yeah.
automatically get going again. And it's odd, like kind of just momentum in terms of the media getting on United's back and how it affects players and affects the fans, and all of a sudden the kind of crisis,
Definitely. Even
you know,
the narrative is like,
yeah,
oh, Casemiro's had two good games now, or maybe Casemiro isn't. Like there's little bits of positive things coming in, and maybe that filters in.
the
I heard
the
someone
first
talking about the league.
the first bad result though,
Yeah.
it'll
Oh yeah, but that's United. Like that's been United for the last 10 years. First
yeah.
battle, we're going to hit
Can,
hard.
can I ask you just the actual formation? Because I was struggling watching it as to what it was they were trying to do. I think it was like Bruno was playing the false nine, and obviously there's no
Yeah,
real striker there at the moment with Hoyland being injured and Zerke he's only just going to come into the team. He'd probably play there, I'd imagine. But like, what was the story with the formation they're trying to play?
so they're playing, yeah, with Bruno as the false nine
Yeah,
and as Mount then playing into that 10 position. And the idea seemed to be the two of them to press from the
yeah,
centre with your Ahmad and Rashford joining in. And they got a bit of joy from it in the first half. Like
yeah,
Like they put the pressure on Leno, he made the mistake and they should have scored.
mm,
It turned out one or other times in the start of the second half, or the starts in the first half and split in the second half, And I thought Mount covered a serious amount of ground in that position, more than Bruno would be in that position, and is more comfortable going back. He wasn't like stringing it all together. He wasn't, but there was nice little link up play himself and Casemiro and put it through to Bruno, another really good chance. So like there was a bit of link up play, a bit more aggression in a whole team press, which like originally Ten Hag said he wanted to be the best transition team in the world. Then we weren't pressing really at all. Now we seem to have players that can actually press. So to be honest, it's the best I've seen us play in a long time. Other than that, the formation by doing that is actually seems to have our Casemiro and Kobe a little bit deeper, and therefore we have a little bit more protection on that break. We took off Mount in the second half. Bruno stepped back into that position, and
Was he
Xerxes
injured?
went into the.
Did he get injured? Did he get injured again, Moss?
Who?
Mount.
It was questioned, but there is not. I don't think there's not indefinite United yet.
Okay.
To be fair, I'd be surprised if he's playing 90 minutes. Like so many injuries.
Yeah.
He's basically hasn't played properly in a year, so I would remind him as well.
And what happens to him though, I suppose, when because it's just interesting to watch is that with Hoyland being out and Zerke going to probably come in now and play in that kind of false role or whatever way he decide to play. I think more likely to play there. But how do they fit them? Like that's what I was trying to look at.
You're wondering how does he fit Mount and Bruno?
Yeah.
I don't know. To be honest, I think if he wants to play that way, he'll have to drop Rashford and put Mount out on the left. Mount isn't near as effective out there, but at least you have three players then who are actually good on like Ahmad. One of his biggest strengths is receiving that ball and on the turn and the link up play.
Yeah.
And that means now instead of Bruno having been stuck trying to do all that time, he might actually have three players around him. I think that's what he's trying to create, options to link up that play a lot better. But like Bruno's been at the club a long time, 3-4 seasons now, and played last season was the first time he missed games through injury. Like, is it the idea that you have cover for Bruno? You can rest Bruno because like you can see him deteriorate as the season goes on. Like he does get tired. So I don't know whether he intends to hold Mount off and use him rotate. Well, or complain himself. Like
it's just as interesting you said, because that was the point I wanted us to make on that game. My question is going to be, how long will Man United or Man United fans, will they persevere with Rashford? Because I watched them in pre-season, I watched them in the Community Shield, and I watched them on Friday, and I didn't think he was up to a whole lot. Like I thought Diallo has looked great when he's played. I think he's a player that he could definitely, if he gets minutes this season, could do damage. I think he's quite good. And then Garnacho is just a solid player. So it's like, and as you mentioned, Armasi, you have Mount as well. So it's like, how long will they persevere? I don't see that spark. I don't see, they were talking about how he had a great preseason. He was back. He was in the gym doing this and that. But my question mark is like, I think he still is, or maybe now Bruno is the highest paid earner now with his new contract. But like Rashford's the highest paid player. And I'm just wondering, the spark still seems to be gone out. I know there was talk of a bid from PSG, which I think a lot of Man United fans I'm talking to would accept in a heartbeat if it came in.
100%.
It's how long would they? Because I think Man United, looking at their actual team that they have, like Bruno, of course, is a fantastic player, but I think Garnacho, potentially maybe Diallo. I don't know again how the new guy that scored fits into it if Hoyland's fully fit, but like I think they're actually a decent front three. I'm not sure whether or not though you're carrying, a 300 grand player.
I feel like you're carrying Rashford
at the moment. I'm not trying to like knock him because it's only early days, but just it's following on from last season. I don't see any improvement, or I haven't seen anything different.
I think though, like his improvement in terms of between last year. By last year, he just seemed so disinterested. He wasn't chasing. He wasn't even running by the end of last season. Like he just let it go. I think he was getting praised for simply doing work in preseason. Yeah. I didn't see anything amazing from him other than his work ethic was up, and he seemed to be a bit more motivated to chase the ball. Realistically, if Ten Hag wants to stay in that position and he is continuing underperform, you've got Garnacho there. Why isn't he in? Like I think Garnacho is his preferred option until, but Garnacho didn't play a whole pint of Cup America. I don't know how fit he is, and I feel like he's leading him back in, easing him back in, and then he probably has an option of, well, I don't know whether I'm going to have Sancho. If I have Sancho, he can play either wing because I don't understand what's going on in that situation, but he seems to still be there. Although there's talks of PSG, so maybe he can play it. Or you can say put Anthony in and switch Diallo. So like he's got flexibility. He could have Garnacho on the left. He could have Mount on the left, or he could swap Ahmad over onto the left. So he's got options to play around with that creativity. And Xerxes was viewed as a player that can play anywhere across the front three. That was the press release that came with him, as not just being a central player.
Sure, look. We'll see. It was a good start. Again, a win he definitely needed. We'll move on to Ipswich and Liverpool. So no signings, but no problem. First half was poor, I think. Kind of struggled to get into the game. Second half, completely different story. Alex, I'll go to you now on this one because apologies to those who are listening and watching. Alex is also a Liverpool fan as well as Dan. Out of curiosity, who's the bigger fan?
I'd actually openly admit between like the dedication of what goes into being a Liverpool fan, like you'd be very hard bet to go out further than Daniel. Like I
Really?
have to put the hands up on that. Yeah.
He's
Alex
embarrassed.
Alex
It's
keeps
the
his shirt
only
on.
Okay.
yeah,
I did.
like I was actually about to mention that, and that's one kind of key thing that if you have a man there with the rupture. I know Daniel is an injury at the moment, but when Salah scored, he was out of his chair and he nearly fell over himself with his injured
True
Achilles
story.
tendon.
I
Was that?
believe
I
it.
think that was for the second goal, and then was it the first goal you whipped off the jersey? Or maybe what was all in the second goal. I have no idea, but like
It was
these
all a
things
blur.
are
Oh,
yeah.
I love taking off the clothes, Dan.
Yeah. I appreciate the loaded
Look,
question deck just to get things going on. But even I'll openly admit it'll be the only compliment I pay him today. But
Fair
I don't
enough.
think I can. Like, he's the one that organised all the Liverpool football matches that we go to as well. He's on the front foot for that. So
Bit of a
yeah.
control freak, Dan, are you?
Oh, worse than
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
Worse than
Just
that.
dictate
Just like
like a general.
myself. Just like myself. Yeah.
So on the Liverpool game, like the first thing I actually noticed, and we were chatting about it myself and Daniel, is that the very few injuries. So when you looked at the starting lineup and you looked at the bench, like the bench, regardless of having any signings or not, it's the strongest I'd seen it in a long time. Because I know players returning from Euros and Copa America, with the likes of Gakpo, Nunes, Harvey Elliott, who had a good pre-season, Kelleher and goal. The likes of Kanata that came on for Kwanzaa at halftime made a big difference. So
Mm.
there's the double-edged sword of like that. It's good that there's enough strength and depth when you look at the bench like that and you think, well, I haven't seen it as strong. Like there was periods last season where they were playing with youngsters who were coming on for 10, 15 minutes. But then on top of that, I think any team that has a successful season, or even if they win a league like a Man City, for example, like I think you do always need to strengthen and build and kind of, it gets the fans going as well. It kind of keeps all the players honest in terms of
Yeah.
trying to retain their positions and keep performing at a high level. But yeah, just in relation to the game, first half, agree with you, it was quite poor. It was Ipswich that had the better chances. Liverpool, a couple of kind of decent bits of play in midfield, but then Trent had a shot just at the stroke of half time, and that was the only real shot they had, and that was over the bar. But second half, they come out a completely different team, and even like it's striking. Like, I guess Slott's getting a lot of praise. It's good for a new manager early doors
Yeah.
to get the credit that they needed to make a change. He felt they needed to make a change, and despite injuries, and actually, I said to Daniel, we were watching, I was like, Kwanzaa was sitting on the bench and looked really upset, like looked really
Yeah.
disappointed. I was like, there's no way he's injured. Like he was taken off purely because like Slot thought that it would make a difference to bring on Kanai. And it was kind of correct in terms of the control we had in the game. I think Liam Delap, the former City player, has needed a loan a few times.
Yeah.
He had quite a good first half, but a quiet second half.
He had
But
one
we really,
fantastic turn in the first half where he took the ball out of the air and it was
He
beautiful to
made bits
watch.
of Kwanzaa. He made
yeah,
Yeah.
absolute bits of him. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So
What
like
did
things
you
like that.
think of what did you think of Quan, like that Arnie making that big? Like it's a big enough call to take off a young player at halftime to change. Like they went from being like Ipswich were brave, they went on the press in the first half, but you just moved the ball too fast to them and got Trent in space in a second.
I
Like
thought
you have to be
Kanata
impressed that
should I thought
that's
Kanata
sort
should have
of
been
game
starting.
management. Like
I think if you make a substitution like that and you lose the game or you don't win it, I feel
Yeah.
like you kind of maybe are going
yeah,
to fall a little bit under pressure based on just media and speculation and kind of punditries that, or pundits they'll speak about a decision that did it have to be made, and could they've made substitutions elsewhere. But it did. Now it wasn't the sole reason they won the game. Really, the attacking players, like the main reason they won the game was they got the ball to Trent, and it was one of the, in terms of compilations or highlight reels, in terms of like a player's performance in a game. Like Trent must have had five, six, seven unbelievable balls over the top where he was picking out Salah. I think he picked it just before they scored the goal. Jota, which was very uncharacteristic, missed a free header. But it was Trent that picked him out, and then 2 minutes later, Trent picked out Salah, who picked out Jota. Like the testament really is that when you watch a game like that, and then we rewatch you get the 3 minute highlight videos on the likes of Sky
Yeah.
Sports, like they don't do it justice because they show the two goals, they show two or three chances, but really there was chances there that we had that they didn't even show because second half they were so dominant. But it's like Massey was saying with United, You get the result, but like it's and you were even saying Deck about momentum. Like you build that
Yeah.
momentum by getting early results. Like for a new manager, it's even more important because you're trying to build that solid foundation that you are the guy. So I had a good preseason with wins over the likes of Arsenal and United. So yeah, it's positive. I still definitely think a signing or two before the window, just for that lift that new transfers brings to a club. Now I seen we were linked. I think did it fall through in the end? Like they were linked that they were close to signing goalkeeper from Valencia,
Yeah, I thought
Georgian
that was an
fella.
interesting one. Surely that would indicate
Can
that
he play the six?
weaving.
Yeah, yeah. Can he play in the six? But the social media joke on the Liverpool pages was that they were close to signing the goalkeeper, and top comments everywhere were, "Can he play in the six?" Because
Yeah.
like that's what we needed, and like so those kind of transfers won't get fans and players in the club going, but it's ones that likes of a defender or a midfielder is obviously the big one. I know I've been linked to Gordon, so like that on top of keeping
Is
everyone
Anthony
fit.
Gordon like? Is he a Liverpool fan?
He is, isn't he?
I read that. I
Wasn't that the
think
whole story? Yeah, I read that too. That he's a Liverpool fan. I think that he's eager because again, I'd say when you're in England camp and you have the likes of say Gomez and Trent, beautiful boys knocking about, like they could easily turn the head. It seemed
Yeah.
that he was interested. I don't
Wait,
know how far along that's going now.
it's
you
it
just
seemed, it
wonder
seemed, it
though,
seemed like
like,
he had given the green light, and then they wanted Kwanzaa in part exchange for Gordon, and Liverpool said no, and that was the end of it.
okay. You'd wonder though,
Mm.
like the fact he played for Everton. I don't ever remember him getting massive criticism off fans or anything like that. The fact that if he was a Liverpool supporter, like, but anyways, again, it's neither here nor there. I suppose another thing I wanted to ask Dan, I'll go to you on this one.
Mm.
Would it be a risk or would it be a good idea to stick Connor Bradley in at right back and just fucking put Trent, put him into the middle and let him do what he can do? Like,
Well, it'll be interesting to see as time goes on and as the system develops. You have to remember, like Trent is only they're only back. Like them lads that even
yeah,
were playing in that second half that Alex had mentioned there and that as well. A lot of them have very little preseason. You asked about Kanate, he had no preseason, even though he was on
right,
the bench and didn't play at all for France in the Euros. That's why he probably didn't start. Where Kwanzaa played all the preseason and done quite well actually as well. But yeah, like I don't see it happening based on what I seen at the weekend. If I'm honest, I was sitting there going, "Fuck me!" Will someone just sit down and sign him up to a new deal? Because like I have a kind of slightly different take on the Liverpool kind of conversation around transfers, and I think people are getting a small bit blindsided by okay, Liverpool haven't signed a player. I know there's like 160 clubs and 159 have signed a player except Liverpool and all this kind of stuff online, but for me, the biggest problem Liverpool have at the moment is their captain, their vice captain, and probably the best player that they've had in recent memory, or potentially one of the best they've ever had, are sitting there in running into the final year of their
yeah,
contract,
I
and
know it's
no, and nobody
brilliant.
is really talking about that. So that for me would be my biggest concern, really. And when I seen Trent at the weekend come back and be as sharp as he was in that second half, I was like in particular of the three. Like they need to be signing him back up. You can't let him walk for nothing, considering you would have got a big transfer fee
Yeah,
the previous summer or this summer if he wasn't going to sign. So that one is concerning. There's nothing coming out negative to say that he's not going to sign on, but you need to get that deal done, and potentially he could be captain going in next year if Van Dijk decides.
yeah,
Well, depending on what happens there, like the other two are a bit more of a question mark for me. Trent has to be signed back up. You look at it going, Salah's what Salah came for financially, what we paid for him versus what he's done for the club. He owes us nothing. So you could say maybe in 12 months' time that he goes off on his merry way to Saudi potentially, even though again, given his performance yesterday, I wouldn't mind getting another year or two out of him. Maybe he keeps
yeah.
himself in
He
great
was
shape and
excellent.
he was very sharp. And then Van Dijk is the other question mark. But for me, if Liverpool spend 300 million this summer, and Liverpool fans may or may not agree with me, but I think if we spend 300 million this summer, Liverpool would finish third. And if Liverpool spend no money this summer, I think they'll finish third as well. That's where I'm at on it. I think we definitely the 6-1 kind of did, as I mentioned at the start, bother me because we've been looking for a six for a couple of years. Ever since Fabinho's leg started to go, the talk
Yeah,
was we need to replace him. And we haven't done that. So I would like a six in, but I still think if Liverpool spent big money in the summer with all the changes that have happened at the club, Champions League football, getting back into the Champions League again next season would be the aim for Liverpool. They're not going to win a league title. You're looking at Man City, potentially the best side to ever play in the Premier League, and Arsenal, who look like they're on the cusp of potentially getting a league title. And then you have Arne Slot coming into a new league, new manager. Dutch managers don't have a great record in.
yeah,
With the uncertainty around some of the top players, they suppose to be a bit hypocritical of myself though, it's going to be whether or not like if you're a big player like the three of them I've mentioned and you have no signings coming in or no potential they're
Yeah,
sitting
true.
there looking at that going, what's happening here? Where are we showing that we're going to be fighting or even building towards? It's all about building, really, I think, for Liverpool this season. And that would just be my take. I think 300 million, you'd still be finishing potentially third. And I think with the squad that we have, as Alex had mentioned there, 45th squad, I think we'll finish third as well.
Okay, fair enough. What's it called? We'll move on. We'll come back to the transfers now in the next segment, but we'll move on to Chelsea versus City. So again, I thought it was a really good performance, given that we're still missing some of the key players: Rodri, Foden, John Stones, Kyle Walker, all on the bench. Well, apart from Rodri, but I mean, given the players that came in, Savinho and Doku playing on either wing, I thought Savinho was really exciting. He came off injured, but I mean, there was a 20-minute period there where he took Cucurella, like took him out numerous times. Doku as well, really impressed with him. Really good start. Kovacic kind of filling in for Rodri as well. Very impressed with him. Haaland, I thought his finish was excellent. Definitely one of his better games. Now, he is kind of getting a reputation for going hot and cold, but I thought yesterday he had a very good game. I suppose, yeah. Did you notice anything about City
I
yesterday?
thought he looked sharp. He looked fresh. He looked like a player who had summer off.
Yeah.
I thought it was a fantastic finish, and it was interesting to listen to him in post-match talk about the save that was made against him last year. He went slow, so I was like, I go high. I was like, just I suppose the level of mental preparation that he obviously puts in and factoring that in. The other positive I thought for City yesterday was Rico Lewis.
Yes, very good.
I thought he was phenomenal. His link-up play, his confidence on the ball. There's a couple of movements that he reminded me of what Trent was doing in the link-up play. Not quite the same passing, but for a young player, he looked completely at home at a hostile Stamford Bridge, under pressure, linked up, came to the middle, dropped into the central positions. He was the one on the end of a Haaland. It was a free game out against Haaland, but he finished it beautifully. I just thought he was looked like a very competent player coming through. And again, just
he glides, doesn't he?
Yeah, definitely.
He just glides along, though, doesn't he? Around it, like he just glides. I think it is very good, like nice to watch as well. Yeah,
he is. No, definitely. There's he is a very confident player. Like you can tell, like he's very comfortable on the ball in very small spaces as well. And definitely, I mean, he's a ready-made replacement for Walker. And I mean, Walker's 34, so I mean, he's not gonna. Well, then again, I mean, Walker hasn't slowed down.
no.
Walker
until the final of the Euros, I agree with you. But Nico Williams went back there for the second goal for Spain. I was like, oh, maybe there's a pace going there. But I just think while we're on it, we should mention that Chelsea were relatively coherent considering the mess that is going on there. Okay, Cucurella hadn't the best game defensively, but like they had some nice link-up play, and they looked a little impressive. If Nicholas Jackson could score, they probably would have been right back in that game.
I didn't think they were impressive at all, to be honest. I'm gonna disagree with that one. I thought I
genuinely no. I thought there was some great like you could see patterns of play for a new manager. I don't think I was not necessarily a style I would like, but I could say there was some positive there, and
I thought like
he didn't like play them off the park. Like
no, they weren't awful, but I didn't see anything to kind of, if I was a Chelsea fan, that would give me hope that it's going to be a fantastic season. I just thought there's so much going on outside the club that it has taken away from the fact that if he got things right on the field, it could be a very exciting team. The Sterling thing, for example, handing Enzo the captaincy, I thought after
that was awful.
I
was watching him take the knee in a pre-match with the captain bands. I was like, this is all wrong. Like,
is Reece James still technically their captain, and then he's out injured, and then
he's out injured.
James,
so
Chilwell's going.
Like, considering, like, for me, that was a bad decision. Like, you've got a player who's coming back to a hostility between the camp, and it was handled poorly by the club. And then you decide to add more pressure to him in front of everybody by making him captain and like nearly endorsing what he was involved in. Like,
absolutely.
I thought that was an awful decision.
It's a very strange way of trying to show
PR savviness. Like,
exactly.
And then at the same time, you have Raheem Sterling releasing this ridiculous statement
before the match.
The most PR spin I've ever listened to, but still said, "I'm available. Come buy me someone because I'm not going to be playing here. I don't want to be here."
Yeah.
Like
he's gone. He's gone. 100%. He won't be playing for Chelsea this season. It's on about.
Like, who's going to buy him? Who's going to financially have the money to buy him and carry his wages?
I don't see Sterling as a player. I was saying it as well just today. We were watching that game, and I don't see him as a player that would turn around, like we've proven on by the end of the window, that would turn around to a mid-table club and go, oh, I'll happily move to
Yeah,
to maybe a West Ham or somewhere like that. I see him as a player that would see himself at a big European club, if not a Saudi club comes in and he goes for the money.
yeah,
But
yeah,
then I agree with Massi. I kind of look at, I think he was linked earlier in the window with Juventus and a few other clubs in the likes of Serie A and the French league. But I don't really like know. I guess he's got a good enough recent record internationally with the likes of England. I know the most recent tournament he wasn't picked, but goal scoring record and assists, he was up there for about 2 or 3 years, one of the best in
yeah,
the England jersey. Like
definitely.
maybe internationally that stands to him. I know last season, I remember the first maybe 6 weeks of last season, he actually looked like their best player. It was like
Yeah,
he
definitely.
properly found his feet under Pochettino and is revitalized. And then that just seemed to peter out. He lost his way, he lost his place. I don't know where he'd go as well. I just think because he's been at what City, he's been at Liverpool, he's been at
Mm.
Chelsea now. So I just see him as being a player that won't take that step down. So
No, is
decide what the
yeah,
step is, he'd look for it.
there's definitely like an ego there that would kind of wouldn't let himself maybe take that level down. Even like I mean, he's only 29, so I mean, surely he should be going into his, and he should be in his prime years at the moment. But I mean, look, we'll see what
He,
happens.
he never though. He never though. When he went to Chelsea though, he's never set the world alight like he
No,
was. In
no,
fairness, he had a few really really good seasons at City. But I think that like I know Decker said I didn't think I'd be with Massey. I don't think Chelsea were that bad. I thought Lavia looked decent as well, making his debut. And I thought they had a few different decent chances. They got 1-0. It looked like Chelsea looked like the team that were going to equalise. City were kind of happy enough sitting back, they were retaining the ball, but they never really looked like they were going to kill them off, I thought, for large periods of the game. Chelsea's were the ones pushing. As Massey said though, like when you're relying on Jackson, he reminds me of he's a lot like Nunes. I think he's very erratic, gets caught offside a lot and looks a bit clumsy.
yeah,
In Kunku, I thought he only played 60 minutes, but he looked decent. His link up play was good. He looked
Yeah.
intelligent. He can make intelligent runs. So, but I wouldn't like. Me and Alex were sitting there watching yesterday. When you looked at the side that he picked and the bench that he had, like I know they have 45 players, but there is a lot of them that are decent. Like I'm not saying that they're for the money they've spent, whether or not they're worth the money or they're worth the 8 or 9 year contracts, but actually as an 11 that they had out there yesterday, up until the second goal, which when you look at the two lads that Enzo and Caicedo, like it was embarrassing what occurred there for
yeah.
Kovacic to score the second, but
Yeah.
like they're not. I know like João Felix looks like he's going to sign a talk of us, and like where's it going to end? But there's the bones of some players there that I think are quite decent. I actually think Colwell is a decent centre. I think Gusto actually done well last season when he came in at right back. Like they need a goalkeeper, even though they've got 8 of them. But I don't know. I just have
Sanchez
this feel.
was
I just
I
have
he
this
was a
feeling.
thought
Very
like
poor goal.
What? Sorry.
he was very
He was
poor in
very
front
poor
of
for the
goal.
second
Like
goal there.
yeah, he's
Yeah.
very poor, and his panic in playing the ball out was part of how he ended up breaking through. So he's poor defender from the boys, but like it was forehand for goal. I was like, this is you can't play out from the back like this.
Yeah,
There
I
was a
think
good few examples over the weekend of goalkeepers trying to play out from the back, and it just
yeah,
not really working.
I
Yeah, like
think
I know all the mad,
Ipswich.
like all that madness that's there, like in the background. But actually, just if you can get them playing and get a team on the pitch, like there's enough players there that can play football that I think that they could still like look at last season. We were all saying that there were shambles, there were this and there were that, and they weren't
that's
far
what I
off playing
mean.
Champions League football.
Yeah,
You
and
know?
they took what is it? Was it 4-all? And I can't remember the second result, but it was 2 draws against City last season.
Mm.
And I think based on that, and I remember watching those games, like they were impressive. So man, I'm just kind of going back to those games, thinking that I thought it was going to be tougher, to be honest. I did see City winning, but I thought they were going to kind of put it up to us more. Palmer, I thought for all he did last season was very quiet. Everyone can have an off day, but um, yeah, look, Chelsea is a bit of a mess at the moment on the field and off the field. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. The rest of the results over the weekend. So Arsenal 2, Wolves 0, Everton 0, Brighton 3. Bad start for Everton. Newcastle 1, Southampton 0, Forest 1, Bournemouth 1, West Ham 1, Villa 2. Well, Villa looked really good. And then Brentford 2, Palace 1. And then tonight is Leicester and Tottenham. So just I want to go on to the remainder of the transfer window because it's been a weird transfer window. Like there have been no signings that have kind of, really raised eyebrows as of yet, anyway, in my opinion. Maybe you have a different opinion. Anyone that's has stood out for you, anything that you see happening in the last 2 weeks? Um, anyone you think a team should go after?
I
I'll
thought
leave.
notable, sorry, Dick, just with West Ham. I don't know if you were talking about teams that done good business, because that was I know they lost the weekend, but that was their first opportunity, I guess, to showcase some
Yeah,
of the new signings that they had. Now, not all of them started, but I think they made the game against Aston Villa. They made a triple change. They brought on it was Crescencio, Somerville, Fulkirk, and James Ward-Prowse. And I know Ward-Prowse was there from last year. But like they were looking at the Championship Player of the Year from last season was
yeah,
Somerville, so he was coming on. Fulkirk had a very good Euros, and was very impactful off the bench for Germany. So certain teams like that, like they were some excellent signings that were made and have really added a lot of strength and depth. So I think when you're looking at teams that have done well in the window, West Ham just jumped out for me as one.
yeah. Likewise, I think so.
I'd have a
Sorry.
question mark though over just the buying a 31-year-old striker. I know he did have a good Euros, but like Antonio obviously started yesterday and Fulkrug came on and will probably be the main striker going forward. But again, the kind of player that he is, and again, I don't know if any of you watched the David Moyes and Simon Jordan podcast, the upfront one, but Moyesy was asked, "What's the West Ham way?" And he was there long enough, and he said, "I don't know, I don't understand what it is."
Yeah,
And like, it'll just be interesting to see with the new management. Like from watching the game yesterday, again, you're going to have a big guy up front who's going to be up there to bulldoze his way through, to hold up the ball, to try and link the play. Like I'm just wondering, they bought a 31-year-old, they spent a good bit of money in the summer. Um, with some of the other players that may or may not have been available. I know Nketiah looks like he might be moving on. There was other strikers that I think might have been a different style of striker. Maybe that's just not obviously what Lopetegui wanted, but like to spend it fairly, spend 27 million or something on a 31-year-old to play through the middle. Like again, of course, time will tell with him, but that's the one I'd be questioning based, and they do have a very bad track record, like Scamacca, the scam that came over and then went to Italy and is tearing it up. They've had loads of kind of strikers that went in there. I think they had Ayew for a period of time. They've had Ings. They've gone through like about
yeah.
15
Fair point.
strikers and none of them have stuck. So I'm just wondering whether or not this one will be different because there's no doubt with like Kudos and Bowen and the players that they have, Paqueta as well. Like like they've some really good ballers, but I'd question whether or not that one was good business, but also, will he be the answer? The kind of is he like Antonio, except maybe a bit younger and maybe a small bit more mobile. I don't even know whether he is really more mobile, but I'd have a question mark over that part because the striker has been a question mark for West Ham for quite a while, hasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, fair point. Fair point.
Antonio is just one of life's great survivors. I don't know how he just constantly finds his way
Yeah,
starting up front. I know a couple of years ago he had a good run of goals, was playing quite well. Like, but we like even when you look at some of the teams and the squads that they play with the weekend, like we were sitting again just following some of the results and like Everton obviously the man sent off, and we all looked at each other and went, "Guarantee it was Ashley Young." So he's like starting. And lo and behold, it was Ashley Young. And
yeah,
like you're looking at certain players, like we like the same stage last year. I think I looked at Everton starting lineup. I think Ashley Young played right back or left back. And I was like, how is 38-year-old Ashley Young still starting for Everton?
yeah,
And this
yeah,
season, I was able to say, how is 39-year-old Ashley Young still
yeah.
starting for Everton? Like, so,
Because
it's nice
Everton
for
are in
Antonio.
serious trouble.
Definitely.
They're
That's why.
transfer wise, Everton need a few signings. Like that team on paper, I just feel like they're reliant again. It's going to get into the Dyche factor of it'll be
That's
6 to 8 games in
it.
the end.
They're rolling the dice on that, but they have no money between. They're so much in debt with the stadium, and they're trying to find a buyer to come in and take them over. Like they just are a mess, and I think there's only so long you can keep the team on the field playing well when there's so much noise in the background, no more than what we would have said with Chelsea. And it just feels like that's creeping in more and more of that team. Having said that, they should have been 2-0 up. Like Dwight Neal was one, hit the post. They probably could have debatably had a penalty. And then Ashley Young, like he pulled it back. It was a red card, obviously, but like he shot the team in the foot. But they actually were dangerous enough until
Yeah,
like Brighton kicked into gear again. And saying around about transfer, Brighton's Minta looks like he's a good signing from Newcastle. Newcastle didn't really want to sell him, they just needed money to get their financial fair play in order. Seemed to get him. He went off with a concussion, but for the first 30, I think it was 45 or 48 minutes he was playing, he looked very impressive. And when they got going, on the counter for a new manager, they still very much look like they're playing the Brighton style. They looked dangerous on the break. But
I think
fair point.
My I suppose just the eyebrow raiser for me would have been, and he was immense at the weekend. But actually, the 50 million when it was announced that near the start of the window, I think they got him early when Onana was going to Villa for 50 million from Everton. My eyebrows were raised, and I was quite kind of going, Jesus, I wouldn't have thought he was even. I don't think he played all for Everton last season. He was kind of in and out with the team, and never would have looked at him and been like, Jesus, he's a 50 million pound player. Firstly. But he was absolutely unbelievable.
He slotted in very well.
He was himself and Tielemans. I thought gave
and he's a perfect complement to Tielemans. He's that physical presence beside the technical kind of style of Tielemans. It's just a really good balance. Powering header, it was a great goal.
It's like Yaya Toure and what do you call your man Booba? What do you call that guy? The wardrobe they used to play for
Papa Booba Diop.
Why do you call him the wardrobe?
That's what his nickname was.
The wardrobe. Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that one.
But anyway, he would have been mine. I think if you were to ask me, just I thought he was pre-seen him play for them. I thought 50 million was a fair whack, especially when Douglas Luiz was a big blow for them losing him. He was excellent last season, but that would have been mine anyway.
I wrote down a couple of ones. Just get your opinion on it. First of all, Tony looks like he's going to Saudi. I mean, he looks as if he's sold his soul. I mean,
can't gamble over there.
Really? Yeah, I remember you saying that.
It's illegal over there, isn't it? Yeah.
It's kind of resigned to your career's over, though, isn't it? You're not playing bringing it again. He's only 28.
That's what
if I was him, I don't understand why you wouldn't stay one more year, go on a free, get a good sign on. You're going to get good wages because you're going on a free next year. And then do 2-3 year contract and then head to Saudi. That would be if you want to compete it's top
level. A waste, isn't it?
100% Bossy, like Antonio should be going to Saudi.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Tony should not be going to Saudi.
He needs to start up front for West Ham next week. He can't be going to
Saudi. And he will. That's the thing. So I suppose it is, in my opinion, it's a waste. What do you call it? And again, just to get your opinion on this one, João Felix is coming back to Chelsea and Conor Gallagher is going the other way. And Chelsea are still in the race to sign Victor Osimhen from Napoli and Lukaku going the other way. I mean, João Felix and Osimhen are just two more players going into this mess. Where does it end? Out of curiosity, how does it end? What's it going to look like on September 1st?
Do you know what? Gallagher, I think, even looking at the game yesterday, that was crying out for the likes of him. I think Chelsea have really they fucked that one up for me anyway. I think Gallagher was a good player. And actually, do you know what? I take him at Liverpool. Yeah. He mightn't start for us, but I take him. Yeah, I think he's
a hard working player. Absolutely.
Yeah, and you have to remember as well. He went on loan to Crystal Palace. He wasn't just a worker. He scored quite a good few goals when he went to Palace. And he was Gareth Southgate's go-to in the Euros. He came on. He played a good few minutes for them. I think they messed up a small bit with him. To be honest with you,
100%.
I think he could still be in Chelsea's side, and if not, he could be starting in it. But I know Maresca doesn't think there's as much ball in him because he's all about kind of the possession play and the kind of pep way of playing. But I think for me, his energy and the fact that he loves the club,
absolutely.
And he was their captain last season.
He was a captain.
A bit of it.
Absolutely.
As for João Felix, he just always, I don't know, I always just find he's a player that looks great. When I watch him, I was like, geez, he's technically very good, but kind of just flatters to deceive. And I think that one will just be another, I don't know what he's going to play, but he'd be just another, I think, guy that'll come. I think they gave him a 6-year contract. I think in 18 months' time.
They gave him 6 years.
I think it was. I think I read 6. I think years. Yeah.
Oh God.
And then Austin the one that I think we talked about here in the pod last year. I think he's very, very good. Again, Arsenal I thought would have been the club for him, and I know we would have talked about that with Howard before. I think he's excellent. But again, we'll come with question marks as to the motive for leaving Napoli, the Lukaku thing. Does he actually want to go to Chelsea? You're looking at that then going, he comes, of course, that's going to have an impact on a lot of their other attackers. Surely there's not going to be a harmonious space. It's going to be a shit place to be, isn't it?
Of course,
The only thing I can say is if he does transfer, he's used to the chaos in Napoli. He might get on right at Chelsea. They're after banking on Conte, who doesn't is so volatile, and they're a volatile club, never mind putting Conte into them.
Yeah.
And he lost 3-0 in the league so at the first game. So I was like, oh God, that's going to blow up. And he only wants Lukaku. And Lukaku doesn't want to be a Chelsea. And it's just
all it's
a match
missing
made in
now.
heaven, really. Like.
Yeah, all it's missing now is for Chelsea to bid for Sancho. I think that's all it's missing.
And look, that wouldn't surprise me actually. How do you say
Delighted.
that? Yeah, because I mean, what do you call it? I was watching Sky Sports a little bit earlier on. They said Sancho's staying. So I mean, I thought he was an absolute guarantee.
I don't think I'd believe that until the transfer window closed. Like, there's a lot. I will say, from United point of view, there's a lot of links to the likes of the I suppose the players on the fringes of the squad that are starting to look like they're being moved on. Like Pellistri seems like he's going to go to Panathinaikos. They got Willow Kambala moved on. There's talks of people in with Eriksen's and with Scott McTominay. Like, they actually do seem to be making a bit of an effort to do that clear out that we've been hearing about for 4 or 5 years. So, like,
what about
we're going to be all right this year, but I think transfer wise, it's been one of our best windows in a long time.
You're definitely more active, and it definitely comes across as much more organised at United.
Much more coherent, yeah.
Absolutely.
And if they do get rid of McTominay, then they'll probably need the space for Ugarte being a big transfer coming in, but we will see.
And then some of the news actually made my day today. See if you can guess it. And Dan, I see you smiling. Any idea?
Major day.
Now it's only reports. It's not guaranteed. It's not confirmed or anything like that. But
it's about City.
Yeah.
Is it? No.
Ilkay Gundogan could be coming back.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I did read that. Yeah.
So Barcelona are getting. They've told him like he's surplus requirements, and supposedly, according to your man, what's his name? Fabrizio. What's his name?
Romano. Yeah.
Yeah, he was saying like that they're in contact. I'd love to have him back. He's not gonna. He's not gonna. He's a fantastic player. He's still only 33.
Jack, I was waiting for you to say that the charges got dropped.
That's not going to happen. That's only going one way.
Live breaking news that they're in the clear. And unfortunately, it's just Ilkay's coming home.
I don't even know how to respond. Look, that episode is coming. Don't worry. Or is there going to be a number of those episodes coming? What's he call it? Will they replace Alvarez? Do you think? Was it a good idea to let Alvarez go? Dan, you're a big fan.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I listened to the crack last year. You know, he played for River Plate. If you're listening, Howard.
Not Boca Juniors.
Not Boca Juniors, and you're lucky that you're still alive for saying that.
Yeah, true.
But I do. I think he's a really, really good player. I'm surprised, but again, it was great money considering what they bought it from. I suppose
5 times,
he wasn't going to start as he mentioned last week. Like Haaland is obviously going to play week in, week out. My concern would have been actually, like Bob obviously has broke his leg. He might be out till this January. I wasn't sure what way the Savinho one looked yesterday. He kind of looked like it was bad, and then I think he did play on, did he, for a minute or two?
And he did, and supposedly afterwards he said he'd be fine for next week.
Yeah, so like looking at that, you're like, wow, like he looked a player. I thought at the weekend. As to Doku, you have Grealish to come back. Like I kind of hope City don't go, because I think the likes of City will ruin the likes of Eze, because he'd end up going there. That was rumored quite a bit at the start of the summer and recently about them maybe going for another attacker. I feel if he goes there though, like he'd only be a bit part player. He'll just turn into another kind of squad player. No more than Grealish, guys that kind of are great at a club, at a maybe a smaller club, and go there and then are just kind of, I suppose, fighting for a few minutes here and there. So I think they might go. I think it's interesting to see Gundogan, because like they have your man Nunes, who really hasn't really kicked the ball for them that they got. You know, do they need another midfielder? I'm not so sure. Like, but if they're going to move forward into the middle, you'd imagine they might need another. I know Bob was kind of going to be the answer there. It sounded like from listening to Pep pre-season, but I think that they probably won't. At this stage, I'd be surprised if City went in for another attacker, bar they got another injury. I don't see them replacing Alvarez, but I think he's an excellent player and will do well at Atletico. You know.
Yeah.
Can I bring up a controversial question, Deck? It might have to be discussed a different day. But is the Premier League in decline with the recent transfer market? The likes of the best players in the world, Jude Bellingham's, your Mbappe's, they're gone. It wasn't even really a question of coming to the Premier League. You've lost managers like Klopp. It looks like Pep might be in his last season. Has the Premier and all these financial fair play has kind of tied the hands of the Premier League in terms of spending crazy amounts of money? Is the Premier League coming out of moving from being the top Premier League or the top league in the world? Is it slipping down the rankings?
Is it in decline? It's a good question. Still the richest
It may
league,
be for
still the
another
most.
day, but I just
No,
was
no, it's a
thinking
good
about it
question.
recently.
But I mean, still the richest league in the world, still the most entertaining league in the world. Is it quality wise? Is it the best in the world? It's a good question.
I know
I
I
it's
think
think
when you
close
look at
to.
Spain.
Madrid,
Yeah, when you
Madrid
look
would
at
be the one, wouldn't
Look
it?
at Real
Like,
Madrid's team right now, like it's
yeah.
ridiculous.
If you
Just
got
how
the
good they are.
coefficients last year as well, I know it's you're talking like European teams are obviously the best representatives of how good or how strong our league is, and like for the coefficient, there was an extra Champions League place going
Yeah, we did.
for
Yeah,
the Premier League. Sure, England couldn't even get. I think was it Germany and Italy
yeah.
both got an
Germany,
extra
yeah.
Champions League place. So like that's it's not the only reflection, but it's a reflection that maybe they're not as strong, as competitive as they once were. Because when you looked on paper, everyone would have said England or England as a country at the Premier
Yeah.
League would
Yeah.
steamroll those top two positions and get that fifth place. They didn't, so there's probably a little bit of merit in that, but it probably goes further than
Uh,
it's because it's not
I
just the European teams that are.
I think just to answer your question, Massey, I suppose I don't think the quality overall has gone down. I think that the gap between the better teams and the weaker teams is widening. So I think you still have your City, Liverpool, Arsenal, and then I think it goes to United, Chelsea, Tottenham.
That list is
It's
very long though, hasn't it? It's bunched an awful lot, I
yeah,
suppose.
on a
The
hundred
likes of
percent.
like Villa are there, Spurs are there,
Yeah,
Newcastle are there,
yeah.
Palace are look like they're able to spend a lot of money on a player. Like just teams
yeah.
have
But
bunched there in the middle of it, and I don't know whether that has made it a stronger league or
it's
just made
hard
it
to
much more
know.
difficult.
You
I
could
Yeah,
still
do
think
the
but
though. Go on,
you could
sorry.
do the exact same with Spain as well. Like it's Barca and Real, and then Girona have come in. Fair enough. Atletico Madrid are there.
Athletic.
There's still the same. No one team has come along and kind of just taken either league by storm in the last few years. Fair enough. City have come along in the last 10 to 15 years. Um, but yeah, it's a good question. It's probably a question that we need to kind of have a look at and probably discuss for a full
A
episode, maybe.
different, yeah.
Dan, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't think that the league has got like weaker. Is that what you're saying, Bossy? Is the question, has it got weaker?
I suppose has it like declined in terms of
Declined.
being the best league in the world when
Yeah.
players are moving, the best players in the world aren't coming there. The best managers are starting to look like they're moving away from it. Is the likes of even Alvarez, who everything completed, has moved. That was
Yeah,
Alvarez has got me
Yeah.
thinking about it. Has moved from this to go to Spain, and
Yeah.
just like Mbappe and all those type of players, Foden, who, or sorry, Bellingham,
Yeah.
those players
I
didn't even
still
consider the
think
Premier
that
League really.
I still
The
think that
two,
Bellingham
yeah.
could have gone to Liverpool. I still have that.
Yeah, I think though the two the marquee ones being Bellingham and Mbappe, they're not just. I think if you take them two in isolation, like they're not just players though, are they? They're kind of nearly brands, and just the fact that them two players that are brands have gone to Madrid. Like Madrid's the one I think that you look at and you're like, wow, like they have a team of Galacticos again to a
Yeah,
point, but they actually can play. Look like they might be able to play together, and the team is quite young, but. I don't know. Like again, like Klopp has left, but like he's not left to go to Spain. He might end up in Spain, but it's not a thing that he's left to go there. But I get what you're kind of saying. Like they're two of the, and if Pep was to move on, they're two of the best managers that have
Just
ever.
been I've read a couple of articles recently where like since in this Premier or this transfer season that have kind of talked about it or discussed it from the Athletic and a few other sources like, and I just thought it was an interesting question there when we were talking about transfers and how it's changed I suppose in recent
Mm.
years. Maybe one for another day I suppose.
Yeah, but
like
I just think all of them other teams in Spain, if we were to take Spain as the league that were mentioned there, like outside of like if you look at Atletico Madrid spending over the last number of years, I'd imagine they really don't really spend much at all. Like that was kind of
yeah,
a nearly a one left to field for them. Look at the rest of the team. Like I think Girona's they sold a lot of their top players and they during the summer. You
And
look at other
they
clubs
go
like
to decimated this year, yeah.
yeah, and then you're looking at like the kind of stalwarts like Valencia, Sevilla. Like there's not I don't I'd be struggling to kind of say to you that I think that their league is getting much stronger. Bar as you said, like the class at the top between. I know there's talk of Barca get one or two big guns maybe in before they would, even though they apparently have no money, but yet they're still signing players.
yeah, I know, yeah. What
But
do
yeah,
you call
it's an
it?
interesting one. I
We
think
could do an episode on that
we
one
should
alone.
definitely, yeah, I think so, yeah.
Just actually, here's a nice way to kind of finish your question, Mass. We will cover it properly again, but
It's good.
when you think of kind of Spanish league, I think Real Madrid aside, there's Barca obviously, there's Girona, who are Girona owned by?
City Group.
By Manchester City.
Yeah, they'll probably
Okay.
find a few charges there too, Declan. Don't worry.
Hold on, Girona are their CEO is Pep Guardiola's brother.
Yeah,
You know
yeah,
that? So I mean,
yeah.
Jesus, there's
Are, Dro-
layers
are,
to it.
are
Jobs for the
Jordan,
boys.
Of
are
course.
Jordan just going to get thrown under the bus here now at some point? They're just going to find a way, like, to
Yeah.
blackmail Jordan or like
Actually,
throw like a
Girona did all
foreshore
these
way.
115 things and not to
Exactly.
us.
It'll,
That's
yeah,
why
that
even the multi-club idea really is just
model, yeah.
to throw someone under the bus, survive
All
for
right.
another day.
It is for another day. That whole area, City 115, that will be covered in depth when the time is right.
We'll do a 3-hour
Um,
special.
exactly, yeah. Fantasy football.
Yes.
Dan, give us a big recap of the weekend, and then we have a jersey to introduce to its winner.
Yeah, so firstly, thank you to everyone who has entered our league. We have 79 people who have entered, so we've actually doubled what we had in it last year. So
Class.
thanks to everyone who has got involved, and apologies for spamming a lot of you. But thanks for getting involved. So at the moment, just on our league from the weekend, the standout performer so far without the game tonight is Gangsters Allardyce, and it's Neil Scally. So he's top at the moment with 84.
Do we know him?
I don't know him. No, no. I'm feeling he might be from Westmeath though, but I could be wrong. But
Okay.
yeah. And we have a guy I do know actually, a good Meath man. He's a United fan. Afternoon Delete. Is his
Very good
team.
names. I like it.
Yeah, there is some brilliant ones in the league, but he's second. He's a point behind. We've Zippy, Johnny Edmonds, who's in third, and then we have the Money Slot. The Money
yeah.
Slot, which is my team, as fourth. So I had a good week. A lot of actually high scorers in it there. Howard is down in a joint 11th. Mossy, hang on.
Don't mention me anyway. I'm like
Mossy, I just need to go on to the
75th,
second
I'd say.
page here. Just give me a second. Hang on. I'll find you here. Now. Just give me. No, but
Notify me there as well.
yeah, it was a good solid week. Interesting question that seemed to be whether or not people were going to go Salah or go Haaland or go for both. So there's a really good mix within our fantasy league. There are people who've gone for both, for one or the other. So that's going to be really interesting to see how that develops as the season kicks into gear, and that as well. So yeah, no, it's great to have so many people in it.
Who's the highest kind of biggest player of the weekend?
So, well, the player that's owned by the most in fantasy football is Isaac. He's the most owned player in fantasy football. And then if you're asking me who got the most points, was it?
Yeah, sorry, points.
Player Hall. Salah? No?
Salah
would have been Salah,
yeah, I think it would have been Salah.
Goal assist and...
Yeah.
Saka maybe as well. Goal and assist.
Saka scored a goal and assist.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
great goal actually, wasn't it?
So it's going to be interesting to see as the season progresses of whether or not people start throwing their wild card in early. It's interesting as well that one man here in our group here has gone for no Liverpool players. Must have had zero faith in them, and he might be rethinking that plan there now because Slot and Arnie were cooking.
Who's that? Alex? Is it?
No, Mossy.
Moss. Gee, well, no, there's an old rivalry there. He has to say true to.
I had Alexander Ireland do that team like 4 times. I just couldn't do it. So
and you were so nice to us last week as well. I was impressed with you. I was sitting there with nearly a tear in my eye there. How nice you talked about Liverpool last week.
I don't believe my
He didn't fancy them against Ipswich.
Yeah, no, but look, it's early days, as we all know. Usually, I think the first wild card is usually used by most people after the first international break is going by years gone by. It seems that the highest percentage that will use their first wild card. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how things kind of develop. And it is always annoying because as we mentioned earlier, the transfer window hasn't closed yet. So you're really
true. Yeah, of course.
There could be a few signings that come in where you want to try and get them into your team as well. But yeah, good solid first week there. Some good points, high point scores.
Very good. And I suppose the reason we have Alex on today as well is because he was the winner of last season's Fantasy Football League. So, Alex, do you have any confidence in yourself to do a repeat?
Well, I have no confidence that there's a jersey here to begin with because I still haven't seen it.
Give it time.
I still wait. I know. I'm impatient.
Hold on. Look at this.
It's gorgeous.
It's absolutely. It's built. Look at this shite. This green slime.
What? That looks a bit like a city sleeve, doesn't it?
Not at all. I saw it myself at the weekend.
I needed to get the newest jersey I possibly could. So I think it came out there at the start of August. Because I know if I
I've
went anything earlier, Deck would have cheapskated on it. I don't think you could if it's only just out.
I've
So
seen no, I've seen
The man
worse.
had to fly to Liverpool to get it.
Yeah, I consider
To
I
come
bought it
in.
last Wednesday in Liverpool. I was over there for a few days, and after kind of buying it, like I was having second thoughts, and I considered giving it to a tramp, but I didn't.
I do, Deck. I do.
What do you call it? Look, I've
You spend a
seen
lot of time with
worse.
tramps, don't you, Declan?
No comment. Like, gonna end that conversation right away. You get me cancelled down. I've seen worse, but I don't like it. I don't like the green on it as well. I think if you stuck with a black and white, it would have been much nicer. But you are the
I didn't
winner
realize.
of this.
I didn't
Sorry, go
realize
ahead.
you were a jersey stylist. I didn't realize that was all part of winning it was to talk about
I'm
the.
not a stylist at all. I just know the difference between good and bad, and it's not, in my opinion, it's not nice. But
You know what?
look,
It
that
was
doesn't
free.
matter. It's irrelevant. It's free. It's coming to you now as the winner. And this season as well, the winner of the fantasy football will get a jersey of their choice. So Dan, send me on the address and I'll get that to him. You know,
Yeah,
I'll
it
put
was
like
pure filth the way he won it though. We just need to, I think, just
that.
give him.
Yes,
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
talk us
so
through the last day
we
that
can't.
after.
Yeah, I'll give you the rundown here. It was quality, but it was also filth. And I can't
Yeah,
remember who was the other guy that was on deck, the guy
Andrew
that was
Curley, wasn't it?
Andrew Curry. That's right. Yeah, yeah. So it was neck and neck. I've never seen Alex with a calculator and doing the maths as much, sitting on the couch beside
Really?
me. Yeah, because it was so
Jerseys
tight.
are expensive these days.
Of course, yeah.
He really wanted to win it. Like I could see he was so desperate, and it came to the point like where it was a couple of minutes to go, and there was two players, Havertz and somebody else, to do something, wasn't it? There was two, I think.
Havertz, yeah,
Um,
Oh,
yeah.
I think it was Havertz. I had Havertz and your friend Andrew, it's someone else. I can't remember who it was, but
yeah,
essentially, I think I was 2 or 3 points down, and I had Havertz. He had someone else. So basically, needed Havertz to do something, and
yeah,
Daniel.
and then the goal. I don't know if you remember it was a handball from Havertz
Yes,
or
yes.
from Jesus. Was it Jesus?
Yeah,
Jesus, yeah.
Jesus.
That wasn't given, and Arsenal got the goal through Havertz. So there was a lot of filth attached to this victory. So I just wanted to point that in there when everyone's bigging him up there, that there was a bit of filth involved.
I'd
That's
like to
fair
say as
enough.
well that to add to that, the referee actually gave the goal, but then he went to the monitor, and
Yeah,
then more often than not, when you go to the monitor, usually it'd be overturned. But he went to the monitor and he saw a beautiful Liverpool away jersey with a gorgeous light blue bit of a sleeve there, and decided that young
Slime
fellow,
green.
Avon County Meath, deserves to win it.
That's
Yeah,
fair enough. Fair enough.
there's fortune in it. Yeah, you need luck along the way, of course you
but it
do.
was
You
great
what?
that it went down to the last day. It was class. It was class
Absolutely, yeah.
for the fantasy football and for our league and for people, because I know Deck we were getting a lot of real people watching the reels and really getting into it in the
Yeah.
in the
Like
last couple of weeks.
it
It
was
went to overload.
ridiculous. Like we were kind of putting up screenshots to the table for the last few weeks of the league or the season. And I mean, the reels were getting thousands of views. Like it was a really hot story
That
on
was Alex.
Instagram. Alex looking it over and over again.
To go back, actually,
um,
sorry, your original question was, could I retain it or win it?
yeah,
Probably, given the fact it's doubled in popularity now, numbers wise. That'll be tricky. Like there's so much going on now. Like as Daniel was saying, you're making choices that if you have Salah, you're struggling to have Haaland. If you have both of them, you're struggling to have anyone else really. So like a few weeks it'll start to kind of, I guess, settle down and lay itself out. But when you're if there's 79 people in that league, law of averages are that I probably won't win it again. I'm only saying that now so I can come back to this when I do win it again and say it was humble at the beginning.
it was good the way like, it came out of nowhere. You know,
Well, that's right. I can't really see Daniel wouldn't follow me a bit more.
you're
Wasn't
always hovering somewhere. Then all of a sudden, I don't know if you played. Did you play a wild card at the end or something, or you did something anyways, and it came out of nowhere like you need to be drug tested. But what they call it?
Oh, actually, I think it
Fantasy
was Jean.
football doping.
Yeah.
It was Jean Philippe Mateta essentially won it because I
Oh,
Yes,
brought him in.
that was it.
that was it.
I,
Yeah,
I,
that was
I,
it.
I transferred him in twice in the entire game last season, and the first time I transferred him in, I think they had a double game week, and he got
Yeah,
27 points.
he
And
captained him. Yeah, yeah.
I actually transferred him in on the last week of the season, and he scored a hat trick in the last week of the season, and that's essentially what won it
Jesus
for me as well.
Christ.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I really should have got a Palace jersey with Mateta on the back of it. That would have been, if I was in any way a man of integrity, I would have done that. But maybe next year, maybe.
That's right. They were the two because like not many people had Mateta, and then all of a sudden this man puts him in, and I don't know,
It
he
was a
must have had
stroke
a
of
word.
genius or a stroke
Stroke
of
of
luck.
genius. Yeah, yeah,
Well,
yeah.
it's all genius, yeah. Sure, look, these strikers that play for Crystal Palace, they've got goals in them, apparently.
Good luck. Very good. Okay. Now we'll end on Super Six predictions this week. So just to kind of cover the first weekend, so we have three people on 19 points after they predicted three correct scores. So we have Brian Crossan, Garrett Lenihan, and Keith McCarney. Do we know any of
Two,
those three?
yeah, two of them are from Cavan and one's from AO, so I feel sorry for them. Let them have their 19 points.
Yeah, they'll Guinness luck anyway. They won't be there
No,
next
yeah,
week.
but in fairness, for a first week in that, I was surprised as to how many from someone who does Super Six year in, year out, for so many to have done so well.
Yeah,
Like I'm sitting there with six.
you done
I'm
awful.
rock.
I
Yeah,
did
and you got
awful as
seven.
well. I
Yeah.
know, yeah. Still ahead of you, Dan. Still ahead of
Yeah,
you.
but it was deplorable. Like, it was deplorably bad.
Moss,
Showing
you
for
did all right.
myself.
You got 11.
Yeah, I think I'm somewhere stuck in the middle of the table there, but compared to my fantasy football show, and it was much better, more respectful.
Look, we're all ahead of Howard. That's all that matters.
That's all that matters. Yeah.
Come
Yeah.
here. This week's matches. So City versus Ipswich, Spurs and Everton, Palace and West Ham, Villa versus Arsenal, Bournemouth and Newcastle, Liverpool and Brentford. So Moss, I'm going to start with you. Palace versus West Ham.
Palace versus West Ham. I have Palace are at home, so I have them to win 2-1.
Okay. Villa and Arsenal. That'll be a good game.
I think Villa are at home as well, but I've gone with. I'm not sure on this one. I'm going to go with an Arsenal 2-1 as well.
Arsenal 2-1. That'll be a big win. I think they could slip up there. What do you call it? Dan, we'll move on. So City versus Ipswich.
Yeah, it's so annoying because last year City were nearly in this every week, and I don't think I ever got fucking one right, because if I do them to win to nil, they'd concede a goal, or if I done them then like they'd win. If I put in three, they'd win by four. So I'm at a loss. I do see, based on the weekends showing, that if they go man to man, which they did with Liverpool in the first half, if they do that at the Etihad, they get completely opened up, and I expect McKenna to do that. I think he'll go there with no fear. Maybe because it's early on. There's a small bit of looting about them, so I'm wary for them. I think they could get a hiding, so I'll go 4-0.
Okay. Spurs versus Everton.
Yeah, I think Spurs will win that. I'll go 3-1. Yeah.
3-1. Okay. Alex, the final 2-2. So Bournemouth versus Newcastle. Your brother will be listening now, so be nice.
Newcastle, it's hard to judge. They're down to 10 men in the first game. They have quite a strong lineup. Bournemouth drew 1-1. Obviously, we're not in Forest, but they're missing Solanke now. I think they've replaced him. The striker from Porto signed for 40 million. So whether he makes his debut might have a big impact there. I'm going to go say 1-1. I think it'll be a draw.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Newcastle were awful before they got us the red card that we were watching it. We had two screens going here, and they were absolutely awful up until well, they actually were like, they didn't play well. They defended really well. They went out to 10 men, but they were very unimpressive, I thought.
It was an awful goal to give away, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
it was so bad.
I did love the shithousery of Diaz, though. Like,
yeah.
straight into the back. Then nearly headbutted him, but then jumps on the ground with the hair flailing. I was like,
yeah. When you see him rodding around, we were sitting there watching it, and I was like, do you know what? He reminds you of fucking Georgie Samras there at City. The big flowing head of hair, and wandering around the pitch there. Yeah, yeah.
It was karma for him. He missed a couple of absolute sitters after it. So.
Yeah.
And Alex, final game: Liverpool versus Brentford.
Yeah, it's first home game under slot, so I'd imagine there'll be a good incentive there to start well in front of the fans too. Brentford again, Tony off to Saudi, Visa and Bumo. Actually, they had a good bit of last season when Tony was banned up front, so they are a threat. So like, I can't see them causing a few problems and maybe nicking a goal, but I think Liverpool definitely be too strong going forward. So go 3-1.
3-1 to Liverpool. Brilliant. All right, so as last week as well, get your predictions in by this weekend. I don't know what the cutoff time is. Dan,
that one, I don't think you can't close that league. So at the moment we have 29 in it, which thanks very much to everybody who joined in. And again, sorry for spamming the shite out of you. But we have 29 in that one. I think what happens is if anybody joins afterwards, they start on 0 though.
Okay.
So pretty much, like, I think that one will remain open. I couldn't find a way to close it. But if you start, like, you're at a disadvantage if you do enter, because you'll be starting on 0 points, I think.
No worries. So get your entries in by this Saturday. It was
3 o'clock.
is it
Yeah,
three? Every
yeah,
Saturday
yeah.
is three. All right,
It's
cool.
always Saturday, and just to let people know that once the Champions League, Carabao Cup, once all that starts to kick in, there's usually midweek games as well. But we'll I
We'll
suppose we'll
get to
update on
that.
the
Yeah.
socials. Yeah, if there is. Yeah.
Brilliant. All right, so those are the 6 games the lads have predicted. Get your own predictions in by 3 p.m. on Saturday. The winner of our own league will be the winner of €100. And the winner, if you were to predict 6 of them, we get 2 million. So, I mean, look, good luck with it. And as well as that, please do continue to subscribe and follow us on YouTube and Instagram and Spotify. Apologies. That concludes us for this week. Dan, how's it feel to be back? You were missing last week.
Yeah, no, it's good. I enjoyed it last week, lads. Like there was a small bit of misinformation there being thrown out, but look,
Do
I
tell.
think this week has gone a lot cleaner. People talking about Alvarez not having many minutes. Well, man, Mossy, you put him right.
Who said he didn't have? Who, Howard, was it?
No, you said Alvarez didn't have many minutes.
I said Alvarez did, was one of those who had the most
That's not
All
what I
minutes.
right,
heard.
gents, right.
That's not
Tony
what I
Berg was
heard.
there.
We need to go back and watch episode.
No, it was great. I know it's great to be back. It's great to have the football back and to be back on the podcast. So yeah, thanks, and it's great to have new members joining the team, and look forward to a lovely, peaceful, and loving pod for the season ahead.
Very good. And we have a night out coming up in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Very good. All right, lads, that will do it for this week.
Can I
Please
throw
do.
one last thing in? I know we usually do any other business, and I did want
Oh
to
yeah,
throw this in.
AOB. Apologies. Go for it.
Yeah, just for AOB. I just wanted to get. I don't know if we were following the big story today there with Shamrock Rovers, but I think it'd be a shame if we didn't just throw it out there around the statement. I don't know. Were you following that?
No, go on.
Oh, we didn't see
No.
it, no.
So basically, Shamrock Rovers put out a statement. So they have a big European game coming up. It's against PAOK. I think they're a
Okay.
Greek side. So they brought out a statement today. So RT it won't show their two-legged tie. And Rovers have come out with a statement basically saying now that they mightn't allow RT to showcase any of their games. It's going to be available only on League of Ireland TV, which I think you have to
Okay.
pay for. So it just caused a bit of controversy today. But if nobody else is interested in that one, what I'd advise is that we just cut that now because that's just a load of muck.
But no, it's actually ridiculous. Like
I know,
that's an
that's
national
all right.
broadcaster.
Is that
A few
true?
years ago.
Like, what's the reason as to why RT won't show it? Do you know?
It's Rovers brought out the same. That's just what I read. Now it wasn't long before coming on here, so I don't know if there's been anything since. But basically, they were just saying how much of a joke it was that it's not going to
Absolutely,
be
it is a
free
joke.
free
It's
to air.
ridiculous.
Given that it's such a big gain for them, because I think if they win that, they'll end up in the Europa.
Yeah.
If they win that
They
two-legged
win
tie.
Europe.
Yeah, and I think St. Pat's as well have a two-legged tie. I think to get into the Conference League as well. I think, and I could be completely wrong. As I said, I
It'd be
only
great.
read.
I get to go see United in Dublin.
Yeah, so basically, anyway, it's the fact that it has to be on League of Ireland. So I think it was not just RT. RT were the ones that were getting it in the neck online, but I think Virgin Media, any of the Irish TG4, any of them could have bought the rights to. They were available to show the game, and they chose not to. So it's caused a bit of
Absolutely,
a
yeah.
siege online from League of Ireland fans in particular, kind of just saying boycott RT,
Very poor,
and
yeah.
it just is another not good look. And I think I read, and again, I don't know whether it's true or not, but that they are showing some sort of like a Champions League game. It was Zagreb or something. But there is
Of
actually
course,
a game going to be shown on RT that isn't Shamrock Rovers in the Champions League qualifiers or something on RT that as well. So just
That's ridiculous, isn't it?
yeah,
In
it's
RT's defense, slightly, people do love Fair City and Nationwide as well. So not showing teams on RT, like it's
yeah, it actually showed like a thing, and it was like home and away. I don't know, was it EastEnders? And it was like some sort of David something like a garden program or something that's on. They were showing the slot on
Instead of the
live.
match. Jesus
I don't know.
Christ,
It
man.
seems crazy to think that like they've
course
done
it
so
is.
well. They're going to be in Europe. It's rare occurrence these days that a League of Ireland team gets European football.
But yeah,
And for them not to show it, so it'll just be interesting to see what way that goes. But
absolutely.
it was a fairly heavy worded statement, like, and it was kind of nearly saying about having RT at the ground and like basically like just kind of cutting
Stopping
them
them, yeah.
from showing any of their League of Ireland games. I know RT to show a certain percentage of the League of Ireland
Absolutely.
games, but
And
yeah.
RT could probably do with a good news story, given all the crap that's gone on there.
Yeah.
Anyway, is there any chance, just you can quickly mention that Cucurella was singing that stupid song about Haaland
Paella and
out there in
Haaland.
the summer, And
Left
then
him on his
Haaland went
arse,
just purely went and left him on his arse. And then Cucurella was cramping up after like 70 minutes and asked Haaland to. And I know I didn't say that earlier. I was meant to bring it up, and I just don't want it to go without being mentioned that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a great
Like
video
that.
going around online of Cucurella walking back to the dugouts, walking by the City fans at Stamford Bridge yesterday, and they're letting him know. Because, I mean, at the time, he was supposed to go to Chelsea or City, and he chose Chelsea. So I think there's a little bit of, although I'm delighted he went to Chelsea because he's dirt. But yeah,
Unbelievable in the Euros, though.
He's
Unbelievable.
great in Spain, yeah.
whatever. All right, look,
Sorry, I just said when I let Cucurella get away with that one without mentioning it.
100%. He left him on his arse,
You think
Haaland.
Cucurella is muck? Yeah, you want Ben Chilwell. That's it. You need to have a long hard
No,
think for yourself.
I said I think it'd be a good signing for us. I do. So for another day, look, we've
Anyway.
gone over the hour. What do you call it? Cheers, man. As always, we'll be talking to you next
Good
week.
luck, lads. See
Cheers,
you
lads.
next week.
Have a good
All
one.
right, good luck.
All the best.
Good
Thank you.
luck.